The nun who gave birth to a miracle. That's the headline. They said she was chosen, blessed, untouched by man. Except she wasn't. The king stayed silent. The church priced the story. God didn't comment. So a pregnancy became a prophecy, a shrine, a painting, a ledger that smiled. They sold obedience by the candle. They called it faith because receipts were neat. But miracles don't scream during childbirth. Sins do. This isn't faith, it's power, wearing a halo. And Spain knows how to make a miracle pay. Orphaned at 7, Clara was delivered to the convent like contraband wrapped in linen. The sisters called it protection. The city called it mercy. She learned the rules that turn a body into a relic. Eyes down, voice low, skin hidden even from mirrors. Silence wasn't a vow, it was training. By 15, she could cross a corridor without waking a candle. By 16, she knew when to smile at a statue and when to look away from a priest. She studied hunger into prayer, fatigue into virtue, fear into posture. Purity, she learned, is a job with no days off. They renamed her Sor Clara del Espiritu because Latin spends better on pamphlets. She wore the name like armor. It didn't stop the eyes. Visitors came for vespers and left with a rumor. The girl has visions, a tremor at midnight prayer, a face lit by more than oil. The Mother Superior logged it as grace. The Archbishop, reading the same line, underlined leverage. Spain loves a miracle it can monetize. And somewhere beyond the walls, a sleepless king began to hear about the girl who made candles look like daylight. Madrid had parades, not peace. The throne was rebuilt. The crown still shook. Alfonso, 12 young, polite, eyes rimmed with nights that didn't end. Ministers asked for stability. The church asked for faith. His mother asked for an heir. Everyone wanted something sleep was supposed to deliver. He trusted no one, not generals, not courtiers, not God. He signed decrees by daylight and counted cracks by dark. Rumor moved like sparks in dry straw. A wedding would help. A son would help more. But panic outruns carriages and insomnia outvotes counsel. Into this arithmetic walked Archbishop Herrera, smile soft, grip iron. Not politics, prayer, not reform, retreat, one evening in the palace chapel. Guided by a girl the Lord has favored. Harmless, holy, discreet. Let the Spirit comfort you, he said, and let Spain see you kneel. Alfonso heard a transaction and named it virtue. If the church called it healing, it could not be sin. If the camera caught him praying, it could pass for order. The king wanted sleep. He scheduled grace. She was sent at dusk, veiled, a rosary pressed into her palm like a leash. Eyes down, the sister said. Breathe and obey. The palace chapel smelled of wax and orange peel. Stone kept the cold honest. Candles, a crucifix, a chair for a king who hadn't slept. Herrera hovered, soft voice, hard eyes. Only prayer, he said. Let the Spirit pass through you. Guards posted far, doors latched, footsteps thinned into hush. Clara kept her gaze on the floor. The floor did not blink. Alfonso entered without ceremony. Not a crown, just a man in a suit that fit like duty. He knelt. She knelt. Latin began syllables that sounded like rain to people who needed sleep more than absolution. His breath found hers, too close for ritual. The room shrank. The prayer slowed. Silence answered itself. Trust, Herrera breathed from the dark. Spain needs you. Both. A latch clicked somewhere behind them. A candle hissed, as if sworn to secrecy. Clara closed her eyes and offered the only thing she owned: silence. They would call it a retreat. They would print it as devotion. And by morning, the king finally slept. And something else woke. The moon came and went. Nothing. Clara counted days on a bead, then stopped counting. Her body grew heavier, the air thicker, prayers shorter. The Mother Superior checked linens, checked again, and folded them like secrets. "Perhaps an illness," a sister whispered. Illnesses do not kick. Rumor outran bells. One novice breathed blessed, another mouthed shame. No doctor, only incense. At noon, Herrera arrived, gold ring, iron smile. He asked no questions that would require answers. He opened a ledger, not a Bible. "Silence," he said, "and gratitude. If anyone asks, it is grace. If anyone doubts, it is envy. God has chosen her womb. Spain will witness a miracle. Announcements will be drafted. Donations received." Clara tried to speak, a tremor of a word that died. The Mother Superior's finger closed her mouth. A new cell was prepared, inner corridor, no windows, extra candles. They called it retreat. It looked like custody. A seamstress came with white cloth, a sash to hide what cannot be confessed. Vespers rang. The city heard nothing. Herrera wrote the headline himself: "A Holy Quickening." And in the quiet between two prayers, the child turned, and no one heard him but her. Rumor slipped the convent wall, through laundries, through pews. "A holy quickening," the parish sheet smiled. No mother on display, only a rail you could pay to touch. Pilgrims arrived before dawn, coins ready, sins rehearsed. Donation boxes multiplied like relics. A miracle fund. Candles stamped CDEA, printed novena promising comfort by the bundle. No one asked for a doctor. They asked for change, and change was given, mostly in small bills. The palace wired money as if wiring faith, a chapel restoration piety with a receipt. Alfonso appeared once to kneel. The cameras did the rest. Columns wrote, "Devotion, not custody." Behind a screen, Clara stood very still. Breath in, breath out, sash tight. Every hymn felt like a command, every cheer like a hand. Spain didn't see a girl with a problem. It saw a miracle, with a price. Nights lengthened. Corridors thinned to a single breath. From Clara's cell came sounds that did not belong to prayer-caught inhales. A strangled hymn. Silence that shook. A young sister froze outside the door, rosary teeth against her tongue. The Mother Superior found her. "You heard nothing?" she said. "And if you did, it was the spirit. Passing." The key turned softly, the way warnings do. Words spread without words, laundry slowed, footsteps softened, as if darkness might erase a pulse. They moved around Clara like sailors around a hole in the hull, busy, careful, pretending the sea wasn't rising. Near midnight, Herrera arrived alone. Not the chapel records, not the cross ledgers. In the hall, he let his voice travel. "If any of you repeat gossip, you will fast, and then you will be moved." That night, the bell skipped a beat. The sash lay on a chair. A candle drowned in its own wax. The palace kept one priest's door unlocked for nights like this. Alfonso came alone, coat open, eyes rimmed with sleepless salt. Herrera did not kneel. He poured water and let the silence preach. "I need an answer I can live with," the king said. "If I sinned, will God forgive me?" Herrera studied him like a document. "Majesty, kings do not sin. They carry. Providence uses instruments. Instruments are not guilty." He let the ash settle. If there was weakness, call it illness. If there was touch, call it consolation. Spain needs you rested. And the girl? A vessel, Herrera said. Chosen, we will protect her and the country. Publicly Thanksgiving Mass, privately stricter enclosure, fewer questions. He slid a parchment forward. An offering for the shrine will help the poor. And the peace. Alfonso closed his eyes long enough to pass for prayer. A signature dried. Guilt was renamed and filed under grace. They dressed her in white, the kind that pretends to be light. A seam hid the curve. Silk hid the truth. Incense hid the air. The chapel glowed like a stage built for mercy and merchandise. Pilgrims lined the aisle with candles balanced like tiny bribes. No Clara in sight, only a screen, a silhouette that breathed. Latin rolled slow rain for people who needed sleep more than absolution. Herrera worked the room like a veteran confessor. Do not stare, he said, lowering his voice, raising the plate. Touch the rail. Offer your burden. Let the miracle carry it. The rail warmed under hands' sweat and faith, counted nightly. Behind the screen, Clara stood very still. Every cheer felt like a hand, every hymn an order. She wasn't a mother, not yet. She was a symbol already. Alfonso knelt once. The kingdom exhaled. By night, 3 boxes clicked shut heavy with belief. The public blessing was dated. 30 days to make a miracle behave. They moved her after midnight down stone steps that kept their own cold. The old Inquisition cellar smelled of iron, wax, and prayers that never worked. No physician. A midwife with rope-dry hands. A priest with oil and silence. Breathe, the midwife said. Bite this. Leather strap, wet cloth, a bowl that would not stay warm. Candles hissed, shadows crawled, the floor took every sound and buried it. Clara labored jaw, locked eyes shut against a ceiling that leaned. Hush, someone whispered. Saints do not scream. Her body did the math. Push, wait, pray, break. At the end it came fast, a turn, a rush, a cry met by a palm, a boy, red with effort, loud with life. A cloth found his mouth, then his breath. The priest wrote one line, male, alive, and left the mother's space blank. The last candle drowned itself. The door sighed shut. They left before dawn cart wheels biting wet stone. The boy was swaddled twice, once for warmth, once for secrecy. A palace courier rode behind, cloaked dark, orders sealed with a ring that did not belong to God. Galicia was far enough to forget, close enough to manage. At a roadside chapel, the priest wrote him into the world. Domingo del Espiritu, Sunday of the Spirit, a name built to erase the night that made him. Mother, unknown. Father, Providence. The midwife got a purse heavy enough to keep quiet. She asked if the mother lived. She prays, the courier said, which was not an answer, but ended the conversation. In Madrid, Clara woke to no child, only a ribbon from her sash left on the pillow like a relic. He thrives, the Mother Superior said. So will you, if you stop asking. A miracle. Changed address. The rumor wouldn't die, so they decided someone would. A notice appeared in the parish sheet black border, careful type. Sor Clara del Espiritu, return to God. The date was yesterday. The ink was today. Herrera staged a mass candles high, choir low, grief rehearsed like theater, an empty beer under a veil. Do not approach, he said. People wept for a woman they were not allowed to see, and felt holy for obeying. In the convent, Clara breathed, not deeply. A cup by the bed suite at first, then sleep, then fog. Medicine, the Mother Superior said. The dose learned her pulse and owned it. Visitors became signatures. Ledgers fattened while Clara thinned. On paper, she was gone. In practice, silent enough to pass for dead. That would do. A year turned, and the ink thickened. Painters were invited not into her cell, only to a screen. Her face was standardized, eyes down, light arranged to forgive receipts. A new title on leaflets, Holy Mother of the New Faith. Medals pressed, candles poured, novenas printed with her initials. A decree blessed public devotion, careful words, safer than truth. Shrines multiplied where business was good. Tours scheduled, testimonials collected. A blind man slept better. A widow grieved less. The ledger agreed. Rome nodded politely from far away. Reporters glimpsed a veil, a glove, a rosary on a wooden hand. Captions wrote themselves, "She died in sweetness." The child returned to God. Behind the wall, Clara breathed. Spain learned a simple liturgy. Bye. Bow. Be quiet. He grew inside a story, not a home. Domingo del Espiritu baptized on the road, raised on rules that rang before breakfast. God is your father, the church is your mother, questions are temptations. He learned obedience like a language, then Latin like a weapon. Silence in halls, knees on stone, breath measured to bells. He was told he was a gift, and gifts do not ask who wrapped them. At 12, he served mass hands steady, eyes under the chalice. At 15, he learned the booth how to sit in the dark and rename pain without trembling. Nights were different. A woman's breath counted on the edge of sleep. 1, 2, 3. He woke with the shape of a ribbon in his fist. The file said Providence. The line for mother was blank. He closed the book and kept the question. It started in the booth. A voice older than the wood. "You have the king's eyes," the man said, not penitent at all. A dry laugh. "I served in Madrid once." The screen clicked shut. The seed did not. In the archive room, dust lay like ash. Ledgers bound like laws. His page was thin. Domingo del Espiritu, mother, blank. Father, Providence, witness, a curl of ink. At the bottom, a neat signature, Herrera. An envelope held his copy-red wax bruised, stamp half broken, not a parish crest. A crown. The registrar shrugged. "We file what we're given," he said. "We bless what we're told." Night gave him more than day. The hum returned, the ribbon too. In the morning he requested a transfer to the capital, to serve the palace chapel. "Providence," the rector smiled. Domingo packed what wasn't his, and went to meet what was. Madrid had new paint and the same old shadows. The palace chapel smelled like polish and fear. Domingo arrived with a letter and a talent for silence that opened doors. Royal chaplain temporary, then permanent. Quiet men are hard to fire. He learned corridors by sound. Velvet on stone, boots on gilt, insomnia at 2. The guard who never blinked at 4. He learned when to be seen and when to become furniture. Herrera remained softer hair, harder eyes. They traded nods that meant nothing on paper. In the pew behind the king, Domingo read anything that sounded like rest. Alfonso listened the way drowning men listen to rain, hopeful, annoyed. A seamstress in the laundry mended a white sash without looking up. Domingo touched the rail pilgrims once paid to touch. New varnish. Old price. He kept his questions close. The storm waited at the windows like witnesses. Alfonso sent for no one, then sent for a priest, then didn't, then did. The chapel was unlit, only the red eye above the tabernacle watched. Not a booth, not ceremony. 2 men and a throne pretending to be a chair. "I called it prayer," Alfonso said. "What I wanted, was touch. I called it providence, he whispered, when I demanded obedience. I let them call her miracle when she was alone. Domingo kept the silence steady. Do you seek absolution or truth? Both. If I speak, the throne shakes. If I don't, my soul does. You can't have both, tonight, not without the whole confession. A girl, a sash, a door that closed, the king said. Herrera told me instruments aren't guilty. I wanted that to be theology. A breath. There is a boy. Tears came late. I called it God. It was me. Penance, Domingo said, will not buy sleep. No dates, no names, no full weight. I cannot absolve what you will not carry. The storm finally spoke. The red light kept watching. After hours, he returned to the convent keys borrowed, purpose stolen, devotion behind glass, receipts behind the altar. Her statue waited eyes down, hands folded around a rosary that had never been warm. A donation box sat like a judge. He lifted the rope and did nothing, until nothing felt like consent. Then he pulled. Bolts groaned, glass rattled. The first crack was small, the second was honest. The statue kissed the floor and exploded into white weather. A bell rang somewhere it shouldn't. Inside the splintered base a hollow. Inside the hollow a ribbon, and a packet wrapped in waxed cloth. A note. Cramped hand, steady pain. Son, if you live, live true. They named me saint before they let me be human. If they ever let you near this room, it means they forgot to be afraid. Footsteps neared. He pocketed the ribbon, folded the note, and stepped over the plaster like snow. Coins rolled in rings around the fallen box, small, cheap halos. He didn't pick them up. He wrote everything names withheld, dates exact. The seller, the sash, the ledger signed Herrera. Copies went to newspapers, to Rome, to anyone who still opened mail. He expected thunder. Spain gave him weather. Then silence. A weekly ran allegations against a cult. It trended till vespers. The shrine sold out of candles. The chancery moved fast. Heavy paper, grave irregularities, public calumny, excommunication. Language clean, cut not. His lodging vanished. Friends learned to cross streets. Priests who liked him less in public. Outside the chapel, he said, "Listen." People filed past with prayers like shopping lists. The rail still warmed. The box still clicked. Truth has terrible PR compared to miracles. Herrera preached obedience, quoted saints he didn't resemble, blessed a crowd that wanted grief organized. Systems don't repent, they rebrand. Domingo kept the ribbon, the note, the story that refused to save him. Spain kept the line around the shrine. Systems don't repent. They wait you out, then sell your silence.